Oh, hey fellas, what's up? Hold on a second here. Gotta rearrange things. Hold on. Okay. Sorry about that, I wasn't set up. I turned the camera on and I was like, what the hell? So anyway, a few things I wanted to go into tonight. And this little rig works awesome. The more I use it, the more I like it. You know, the BPI unit is just, there's no comparison. I mean, this is very, very fine quality. This works excellent. I mean, it like I said, it's like a tool that you would see in a clean room or something, you know, lab guys and, you know, little Freon bottles and stuff, you know. It's really that much of a precision thing. I mean, it really does work great. I mean, just fantastic. Also, if you guys don't know about Nix clips, you know, you got Nix clips for the Servog mold and also the Paradox mold. And like I said, you know, these right here, they're not a necessity because you can kind of do it by hand, but these make it so much easier because it's like a jig. It gets it perfect every time. And it only goes in there one way. If you try to fit these in any other way onto the wad, they won't support. You know, they won't go together. Okay? You've got to get them just right onto the wad, like that side and that side. Press them together, and then you're good. And then you can go ahead and you can seat your wad on there without having to worry about the compression zone on the wad. So they're well worth the money. I mean, if you do the Servog molds and you know you use the tail wad like that, these are almost a must. It just makes things so much easier. So anyway, which brings us to another thing. When Nick sent me this, I was kind of like, yeah, you know, that's kind of cool and all that, and you know, it's for seating the wad, you know, onto the deal there, but you know, what else could I use it for? Well, Cookie, of all people, went and brought it up, that you can use this, you know, for seating, you know, seating your slug down in your case. You know, all you got to do is just put this on top of a shell holder, raise the ram on your press with this down in your press, and it'll seat it. And you can kind of get a feel there for when you're bottomed out. And, you know, it just makes a for sure thing out of it. So, you know, that's worth the money. A couple of tools is, you know, your conditioner. Okay, what this does is that when it's in your drill press, it heats up, okay, under friction, and it makes the pedals on the fold more pliable, and it makes your shells last longer, you know, for loading. Another rig is bear with me on the enunciation, because is it France, or is it France, or is it Pinocchio or Finocchio? Is it, you know, is it a parch or is it a parchy? You know, the list goes on and on. Tomato, potato. I mean, you know, I call it the skiver. And this what this does is that it reams and sands out the very inside of the top of the case, and what it does is it puts a chamfer on the inside there. So when you go to do your roll crimp, okay, it starts off with that thin edge and starts it over, and you know, you end up with really nice roll crimps. Okay, it works out really good. Speaking of roll crimper, do not buy the BPI one pin, roll crimper. This is a one pin. And for some reason, you got to get it just right to get good roll crimps. Now, they also sell one that has 2 pins, okay? And that one works much better. And our friend Nick is making one with 2 pins. He's making one right now. So, and that's another thing too. Nick is also making these and these, but he's changed the dimensions somewhat on the skiver and also the conditioner, so you get better performance out of them than these ones. These ones here are very narrow, and what he's done is he's stepped them up a little bit. So I'll be putting that up for review soon. Another piece of news. Okay, now as you can see, I've got some 30 and I have some 32 there with the with our frag slug, okay? And I don't see much point in going down to 28 grains. So we're just going to be shooting these 2 different loads. And I've got 5 rounds apiece, and we'll be going out to the range here soon and doing that. This is just kind of a chat. Some things that I thought about while we were, in the last day or so. I also wanted to show you the tools. Now these tools also will be available. I know that your clips and the cedar and the vise are available on TRN, and also soon we'll have these as well. These will be available as well on TRN, made by Nick Ross. Really good quality. I'm telling you what, awesome quality. He really does a good job. Anyway, so that's about it. I just wanted to let you guys know I had a little, ditty there. I wanted to have a little chat about something I wanted to go ahead and bring up as well. Inaccuracies at long range with heavy recoil is a lot to do with position, your position and how you're holding the gun, how the gun is reacting when you squeeze the trigger and the initial shot is fired. When you get that first burst of pressure in the chamber and the slug starts moving or the projectile starts moving, you have an action and then you're having a reaction at the same time of recoil, not muzzle blast, because the bullet hasn't left the end of the muzzle yet. What has happened though is as you're holding into your right shoulder, what happens is as the gun comes back, your body shifts somewhat, it rolls a little bit, it's just the way that we're made, everybody does it. And what happens is that your rifle barrel, under that recoil, it comes back like that, and as we shift, that front sight moves to the left. So your shot will track off to the left, and if that starts happening, that's because you're not behind the rifle, you got to get directly behind the rifle. You have to sight down the barrel straight on. You can't be off to the side a little bit. You can't be holding the buttstock off or anything like that. You've got to fit it as close as you can into your body, into your neck. That's where the buttstock needs to go. And when you have it squared off in that area, when you start to squeeze, all you're doing is just paying attention to that front sight or that red dot and squeezing. And when the gun goes off, it needs to go straight back, straight back into you. If it's not going straight back into you, then you've got a problem with geometry once the bullet leaves the end of the barrel. It doesn't take that much. It doesn't take that much to throw it off out there at 100 yards. I don't know how much of an inch, but I know that it's got to be less than a quarter inch or an eighth inch of movement, to throw that shot off to the left. So if you're starting to have problems like that, then think about what you're doing and how you're sitting down behind the rifle. Also, when you're when you're squeezing the trigger and you're looking directly at the dot or right at the intersection of the crosshair of the scope, okay, it doesn't really matter too much, where it's at down on the target, because a digitally enhanced target is not going to make you shoot any more accurately. You have to look at, the device that you're trying to pinpoint that bullet with, and that is the crosshair in your scope or that red dot. You have to look at that while you're squeezing. If you're off just a little bit, that's okay. If there's just a little bit of movement, as long as it's straight, okay, and that's it. You'll go through the same hole as long as it's straight. That little bit of movement, that's no big deal. Don't sweat that. Just relax, look straight at your crosshair or your red dot, and start your squeeze, okay? And remember, stay behind the rifle as much as you can. That's the only thing I can say about shooting off the bench. I hate shooting off the bench, really. I like offhand. I like slinging in and offhand with my shooting jacket and all that stuff. That's awesome. That's a lot of challenge, and it's fun at 200 yards. And maybe later on I'll do some of that. But in fact, that's what the K31 is kind of developing. It's been sitting in storage for a little bit right now because I've been working on rounds and I've had other priorities and other projects and this, that, and you know how it goes. So anyway, that's what advice that I can give a lot of guys that are getting frustrated with their accuracy. Sometimes it's not the bullet and it's not the powder load. It's you. The gun is shooting straight. It's just that when you fire it, you have movement, and what you have to do is you have to mitigate that movement somehow. You have to get more behind the rifle. You have to hold tighter, or you have to move the buttstocks where it's closer to in the inside of your body instead of hanging out on the edge. There's an old the logo for Springfield Armory used to be a guy that was standing there with an M14. He had his elbow sticking, way out like this. You know what? I'm going to tell you what, that is detrimental to good scores at 200 yards. You don't want to have your elbow sticking out like that, because what you've got is you've got a weight out there. Your elbow, you got your entire arm out there, and it's waving around, and that's making the front sight move around. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to tuck your elbow in when you're shooting offhand. You want to keep your body weight in your as tight as you can, so you don't have that wavering around thing. It's kind of like shooting with one hand way out here. You're off balance. Shooting with a pistol. So anyway, ergonomics and little things that our bodies do that make shots drift here or drift there or whatever. You just got to learn how to mitigate that. That comes with time, and that's part of that's just part of marksmanship skills. And that's the one thing that I will say about reloading is that the more we reload, the more we shoot, the more marksmanship skills we get, as long as we know what we're doing. Okay. Don't build in a lot of bad habits. There's a lot of folklore out there where, you need to do this, or you need to do that, or you need to do this, and you need to do that. And I'm telling you what, there's, or you got the wrong stock, or you got the wrong grip, or you got, I'll tell you what, the gun doesn't care. As long as you can hold that sight in alignment and squeeze it off without disturbing that sight alignment, that gun's going to shoot right exactly where it was pointed, as long as it was bedded properly, like in a rifle. That's it. That's all there is to shooting. All after that, you have bad rifling, and you can tell when that happens, and you can also tell when you've got crappy bullets, because they'll all shoot that way. No matter what you can do, it doesn't make it shoot any better. So, there you go. You try a different bullet. Say you got 9mm bullets and you're firing 124 grain, and then you go out and you try to fire some 147 grain, but the 147 grains don't work. You just can't seem to get that to group with accuracy. Well, some of that can be mitigation of recoil, but also your barrel doesn't like 147 grain. You can look at it that way too. As long as you can shoot accurately with a 124 grain, you're good. So, you know, buy a different gun. Try some different style bullets. Buy a different brand, you know. So, that's all I can say. Anyway, this is Thorzak's little chit chat tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get this uploaded. And there you go. I wanted to go over some of Nick's products here. Soon to be available at TRN. I know that these are, and the Nick's clips. Also, the bullet seeder will be getting a roll clamp die here pretty soon. And the skiver, and also the conditioner. We'll be having those as well. And these, I'll tell you what, for getting good roll crimps, the skiver is almost a must. You know, that this is almost a must. It puts the right amount of chamfer on the inside to start that roll really nice. So anyway, it's Thorzak's. I'm signing out, and we'll see you in the next video.